Hey guys, how's it going? Ricky here along with Brandon Swanson here to give you some more picks. We do them every week for college football. And before we get into these, we had a fucking week this week for week number 5.
Well, I had a bad week.
Tennessee, Georgia, the back and forth Hail Marys to win that one. You've got the 52-yard field goal in Tallahassee for the Tar Heels.
And that was after an awful pass interference penalty. I'm not saying it was awful because the refs called it. I'm saying it's awful because of the fact that the players did that and set them up for that 54-yard field goal.
It's one of those things like, what are you doing?
I know.
Like, I had my Stan Van Gundy going, Dwight, you gotta make your free throws. I know it's football, though. But we got some more picks. We're picking 5 games this week. Most of them top 25 matchups. One of them, a big rivalry in the Big 12. And we'll start the Tennessee Volunteers against the Texas A&M Aggies. And Brandon, all I have to say about this game, I said it to Sean when Tennessee won. How does this team keep winning? They should be losing games, and they're going to lose this one. Go Aggies.
Well, I think that both of these teams coming into this one, it's two actually pretty good teams, and I think that a lot of people would look at this and say Texas A&M is the better team, but Tennessee is the team that certainly has had luck on their side.
We didn't think they'd be as good.
No, and just look at what happened this past weekend. I mean, like you said, back-to-back Hail Mary passes, and I mean, can you believe it? But I don't know if anyone watched College Game Day last weekend, but it was just a great story about Josh Dobbs and what a good person he is and what great character he has on and off the field. And I'm not going to say I'm picking him just for that, but Tennessee is going to get this win. It's not going to be a last-second Hail Mary, but Tennessee gets a close one against Texas A&M.
I'll tell you, they're not the only 10 I see, but here is another game with one of my favorite teams. They're my second favorite team in the Virginia Tech Hokies, going up against North Carolina, and you got to pick the Tar Heels, right? You got to go with them after that win they had over Florida State. I'm sorry, Hokie fans, but I got to go against us. Go Heels.
See, I think the thing is that with North Carolina, for a little bit I felt like at the beginning of the season they had fallen off the map a little bit. The win against Florida State this past weekend puts them back on the map. They continue to be on the map after this one. They roll in this one. And
with a win this week, that would mean the Tar Heels would beat both of my favorite college football teams as they demolished Lovie Smith and the Illinois Fighting Illini early. Here's one that I think I know. Here's one I kind of cracked there, but here's one I think that, Brandon, I think I know your pick, so I'm going to say it for you. Ready? Roll Tide.
Simple.
Yeah, it's simple, and I'm going to go with the same thing, Alabama, Arkansas. Arkansas is good. Brett Bielema's a good coach, but Roll Tide. And we're going to roll right on into the next one because there's not much to say about that one. We got Florida State 23 going up against Miami number 10. Florida State, Jimbo Fisher, he said after the game, I don't want to hear this dead-in-the-water stuff, the season's over, because you always got stuff to play for. Guess what, Jim? You're not making the playoffs. Your season is kaput, in my mind. Mark Richt and the Hurricanes getting the win. The U.
Well, I think that for Florida State, that's now 2 really tough losses. One earlier in the season where they got completely blown out by Louisville, 63-20, and then this past weekend on a last-second field goal, 54 yards to win it by North Carolina, and they shouldn't have even been in that position, but it was because of a poor defensive play that was a penalty, blah, 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 and the rest is history. Miami is a formidable team, that's for sure. And Florida State right now, they need to be able to try and do anything just to save their season to look good, I think, for their board of directors at this point. Because like you said, Ricky, we talked about it earlier in the podcast and in previous podcasts throughout the season so far. There's not going to be a team that gets into the playoffs with 2 losses. Florida State, they need this win just to get their spirits up, and they will get it. It'll be a close one because I think that, like I said, this Miami team will bring a lot at them, but Florida State will get the win.
And that's why I say, Jim, I don't agree with you. You're not going to make the playoffs, and I know his name's not Jim, but Jimbo, that's your name. I don't agree with you. Then the last one, our rivalry game, the Red River Shootout. We both picked Texas last week. Texas let us down yet again. Sometimes they tend to do that. But going up against Oklahoma this weekend, I'm not high on Oklahoma. I think that, they've lost a couple games this season. They almost lost to TCU, had to come back and fight for that win. I'm not as confident as I was last week, but I still have to go hook 'em horns.
Yeah, last week, Texas lost in a game that I think a lot of people thought that they would be able to get the win there. And that after that loss, a lot of people were questioning Charlie Strong. Is this guy's job on the line? And I think
let's question it every other year when he loses a game.
I think that right now it might be, but they have come out and said that they're not going to get rid of Charlie Strong in the middle of the season. They'll wait to the end of the season, see how it plays out. Again, this is only week 6. So you have plenty more games to come, but you need to start winning. And it starts right here against an Oklahoma team that has underperformed and has not been very good. I'm going with Texas again as well. And folks, if you knew my record, which I'm not even sure of it right now, you would be like, I don't know if I would go with Texas, but after Brandon picked them, but I'm going to go with Texas here because I feel like they'll get some life back. Again, these guys can fight for their head coach. We've seen it before. They'll do it this week.
Well, if you guys want to see the rankings, those are going to be on the MVP Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. I'm going to try to put up a little graphic this week on my Twitter, and Sean usually retweets my tweet out, but I do want to say I think number 1 in our Pick'em rankings is Mark, after going, I think he went 4-1 or 5-0 this week.
Screw him.
Yeah, he got a lucky week like I did in week 2. It doesn't matter. Next week you'll go 1-4. That's just how these pick'ems work. But stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming with MVP, basketball, football, college football, NFL. For me and Brandon, we got the Primetime Podcast this week. Where most of it's probably up at this point. We also got our Keys to the Games video where we're going to give keys for all these, plus a special mystery game. I want to thank you guys for checking this out. If you want to, I would love you to check out the Patreon. That's the only thing I forgot to pitch. Check out the Patreon. We want these clip-on mics so that I can do this. And then you can't see it, even though you could kind of see it there because I didn't push it all the way out. But thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week. Have a good one, guys.